What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the meditations of our Star Wars Shatterpoint battle reports for the ones we just played. Troop and I just played another quick game using the launch contents, including the Padawan Tano. I think we both have some thoughts on this particular one. First thing I want to say, because we can't really talk about our squad compositions just yet, right? Because there's only so much we can really discuss. I guess what we can talk about, though, is why... Okay, so why did you choose not to do Maul and the Super Commandos?
I was trying to key off of Dooku and Ventress's things that care about Dathomirian and Separatists. Separatists for Dooku, so I could pretty much, at the start of Dooku's thing, be able to move any of my characters. And with Ventress, I was thinking whenever another allied character gets targeted by another character that she's engaged with, that you do her little shenanigans to either reposition or hunker, but that
it didn't come up a lot yet.
Did not, no. Yeah. Just because of where she was in the priority, it just meant that she had two chances to do it, and that was it. So.
Yeah, so one thing I will say that I was kind of happy about, for the most part, I don't feel like the verticality really hurt. And a big thing, like, you were able to get up there.
Yep.
And you had plenty of opportunity because you just kind of bunkered right down there. You could have moved up there quite a bit as well. So I like the extra verticality that the terrain brought in. Now, having said that, the Super Commandos, like, if you had them going over here, them and Gar Saxon, probably a different fight over here.
Well, funny enough, I had always planned on building a big, strong center. And I thought Dooku and the Magna Guards with Asajj popping in was always going to be that. Like, Asajj was also my plan to come over to this point. But she didn't matter over there at that time, so I was like, "Oh, okay, well, fine. I'm gonna focus up on this."
Everything kind of got bogged down on this side for sure,
and then it blanked out on us. So
yeah, I guess on my part, like I really wanted to, like, because I came in here, I wanted to really play around verticality. That's why I took the Mandalorians.
Yep,
they scored me points over here. I don't know if they were the game winners a lot of the time, but they scored me a lot of points. Sure. Bo-Katan came in clutch until Asajj just basically blanked her.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of where I was thinking with not taking the 212th and well, I guess I couldn't take Ahsoka because I already have an Ahsoka on here. But yeah, not really a whole lot to the squad building process just yet. I'm looking forward to new characters coming out. I'm really hoping like Grievous and Luminara and even Vader and Obi-Wan to an extent kind of breathe some more interesting aspects to force building.
Yeah, I really feel like you're kind of like choose 2 or 3 right now. You can technically go on to the other side, and I think there's probably some cool combinations that we're not seeing yet for mixing Confederacy and Republic.
Going heavy with Bo-Katan and Gar Saxon and all Mandalorians.
Yeah, that could be good.
Like, just go heavy with that, and you have like a little Mandalorian death ball, which is really tough. One thing I will say, I felt like this game, the order deck made a huge difference.
I agree. I think that the order deck really defines this game from being different from Marvel Crisis Protocol. Like, there's some other things to do, but like the fact that the Shatterpoint is the only time that you get to make the decision on the order in which your guys go, it really means that you're kind of working with what the deck gives you, and then when you Shatterpoint, you have a myriad of decisions.
Yeah, no, that's very true. But it also at the same time, like, there was a couple situations where we both top decked cards. It's like, that's not who we wanted at all. And that led to the clone's demise.
Yep.
When you pulled, like, what was it, a Shatterpoint into Asajj or something like that, or like Magna Guard into Asajj.
Magna Guard.
It was weird. Like, the clones did work in the first struggle and then just pretty much got dummied.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And then, like, in my case, like, I had Kenobi stuck back here right until the very end of the first struggle.
Yes.
He was such a non-factor for me in this game.
And I definitely deployed with preparations like, okay, because I'm going to move Dooku, and Dooku is going to bring these guys up, and then we're going to move up, and we're going to hold this middle section of the table. Man, he's got no chance. Okay, Dooku. Where you at, Dooku? Come on, Dooku.
Well, here's the funny thing. When Dooku actually engaged, he did work.
He did.
He did work, right?
But the problem is that when he engaged, it was kind of like he was this, and then he lightninged over here, and that was fine. But what he was really supposed to be doing is he was supposed to dominate these points, and we already left the struggle that this point mattered. So.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into that one actually, because this one we saw a string of different struggles that really, really impacted the game. That first struggle was like when it was
Yeah.
that sort of like I don't know, lightning bolt
Yeah.
shape.
S. A
It was
snake.
an S.
Yeah.
S for snake.
Yes.
draw one arm on here, just one arm. A little Trogdor. Sorry, just left on a tangent there. Early denizens of the internet will know exactly what Homestar Runner and Trogdor is all about. Anyway, it was very different than the cross pattern than we've
Yes.
seen in the past.
Yep.
It played very differently.
So yeah, it was a crazy change. I also think that when we were set up into this bouncing V, it felt very. I felt like I had a lot of control in that situation. I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, that was
yeah,
struggle
I've got
2,
that.
right?
Struggle 2, yeah.
Struggle 2 was like, what, 4 actions or 4 activations? Like,
I think it was only 3.
it's only 3?
Yeah, but yeah.
Because I looked at the board state, I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything here, so I'm just going to set up. And I think I made the exact right call. I set up over here, and it paid off for me, right?
I agree.
So I gambled, and the gamble paid off.
Yep.
Which, not always going to happen, because I could have pulled a very, very different card. And like, here's the thing: if any of the struggles were like these two right here, I would have been in trouble.
I agree.
Like, big trouble. Because I did not have the characters left to take that point back from you.
Yep.
And yeah, I had Anakin and Ahsoka. Ahsoka was already injured once.
Yes.
So that's relying a lot on Anakin. But at the same time, you also had the Magna Guard, you had Asajj right there. Like, you had everyone but Dooku and Jango.
Yeah.
Right there, right? So if I had pulled them, let's see here. So there's...
Oh, Middles or Main Street. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, Main Street would have been another interesting one. Like, basically, these 3 were not objectives I ever wanted to see pop up for me.
Yeah.
So if I pulled any of them, I would have been, I think, in trouble.
Yep.
Which would have happened. Because here's the thing, like, I might have won that last struggle. Like, I kind of got lucky with where things were.
Yep.
With that one, like, having Bo-Katan activate off the Shatterpoint to get her to over here and, push somebody forward over here, that was huge.
Yep.
That was massive. And then Bo-Katan getting lucky enough to get the double shove on Dooku.
Oh yeah, that was definitely painful.
And with how many defense dice Dooku was throwing, I was not relying on that double shove at all.
Definitely.
Because I think on the double shove, like I needed to get like my 3rd and 4th successes.
Yeah.
And Dooku just unfortunately he didn't pull through on that one. But it very easily could have gone a different way.
Absolutely. And honestly, like this game definitely had like lots of little back and forth that was actually really cool that way. So
yeah, I think visually speaking, this was our most interesting game visually so far. Now, granted, like you and I, we've only played 2 full games together. We've had 1 practice struggle. This would be game number 4 for me, I think.
That sounds right, yeah.
I think it's game number 4 for me. So obviously, I'm still kind of learning the ins and outs. I think the biggest struggle we're still having is the reactions.
Yes.
Is because I think both of us hit instances where we forgot we could activate some things on us.
Yeah, definitely.
And there was a key one that happened for you, right? Like it was Dooku's ability to turn hits into critical failures.
That was definitely a big deal. And like also, so one of the things we noticed also in the game is you spent all your force like out the gate almost.
Oh, I was spending like it was going out of style.
I ended the first deck of cards with
full force.
Full force.
Yeah.
So
well, you gained 2 force on 3 separate instances.
Yes.
Right.
So it was one of those situations where I'm like, okay, so I think that there is a different build that definitely uses that force, and that's a resource that I wasn't making full use of.
And the droids don't use a lot of force.
In
fact, I think the droids use. Kalani has
a tactical network. Yep. That's it.
Yeah, Kalani can use some force, and that's about it. Whereas if you had the Super Commandos and Maul, like that's a lot more force you could take advantage of and use. And that actually plays back to what we were saying earlier with the order deck. Right, you weren't. You had all this force, and you weren't really able to spend it because your guys weren't really coming up with opportunities.
It wasn't the guys to use that, right? So and there were situations where I could have used like capture wire from Django to pull someone towards him, but that was never really what he wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say there was never really a good opportunity for it because he would have just been pulling them onto points in some cases.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's very interesting how different the game can go. One thing I will say, I like how the identities and some of the tactics abilities and even some other abilities, I like that there's no range on some of them.
Yes.
That the identity is just like, this is the identity. It is a game state. It is your leadership ability, basically.
Yep.
Like Kenobi allowing me to use hunker tokens in melee and not losing them when engaged. I think saved my bacon a couple times.
I think so too. Yeah.
At least it forced you to use a couple extra actions here and there,
Yeah.
which was huge. Kenobi, yeah, very, very defensive in that guard. Um, I think this is reinforcing one of my issues I'm finding with the dark side characters, though. They're very selfish.
Well, and I think that they can use that, but they don't have the same specific synergies that they need, or rather, they have very specific ways to use their synergies. So.
Okay, yeah, that's very fair. And I think what it is maybe we're just so used to like team-based stuff
Yes.
that we're not used to using the things. Like for instance, Count Dooku probably could have got stuck in a lot sooner.
Yep. Yeah.
Actually, I think Count Dooku probably could have held this point on his own for a lot of the game if he really wanted to.
I think so too, and I think me pairing the Magna Guard with Dooku, while that's fine, I don't think he needs that as much as someone like Asajj would greatly benefit from it.
So how do you feel about the Magna Guard? Because I was kind of lukewarm on them when I used them.
I found that they made you make bad decisions, and if I was better with them, I could have made you make much worse decisions.
Whoa. I make bad decisions on my own, all right?
I never felt like Dooku was at risk from any ranged attacks ever.
Fair.
I also felt like if I had placed the Magna Guards ahead of Dooku or ahead of Ventress,
forcing them to get into engagement first.
Yeah, Ventress's big problem is she can fight you, and if she stops you a little bit, she'll riposte. But otherwise, like, she goes down pretty quick.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I threw Anakin at her.
Yeah, but like, if Anakin was like, "Aha, I will kill this Magna droid," I would have been like, "Great." And yeah,
don't care.
Yeah. So it turns out, like, I think their greatest value is in how not great they are.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, granted, when you were able to focus and get Kalani's thing off, and you were throwing 8 dice?
That feels good. And they have 10 health. Like, they have the health of most heroes. That feels really good.
That is true. That is true. They're very beefy. They got 5 defenses, so they're. Yeah, I guess maybe my disappointment was more I kept looking at them as like a support or as a secondary as opposed to a support.
Now, you were telling me that you thought that battle droids were really good after your experience with them. I think they're absolute garbage, and
I think you're wrong.
I could have totally used some Gar Saxon and his boys over Kalani and B1s.
I have a sneaking suspicion next game we play, I'm just probably going to be facing a horde of Mandalorians, aren't I?
It's potentially true. I haven't figured out exactly what the top end of that is, but there's going to be some mixing and matching.
Which I look forward to. I look forward to when we have more options.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. And like as you said, Grievous and...
it's going to be Grievous,
Luminara.
Kraken, and B2s, and then it's going to be Luminara, Barasafi, and I think is it Commandos? I think it's Clone Commandos.
I think it's Clone Commandos. And you know what? Like, the funny thing is, I think all of those people do lots of things, except they don't, as far as I can tell, nothing is really buffing the Mandalorians. So I think Mandalorians need to take a moment.
Mandalorians buff Mandalorians.
Yes, but like, I feel like everyone else is at a fine level, and that when the next wave comes in, everyone else is getting a bump, and they're not.
Yeah, that is fair. We're not seeing anything with like the Clan Krees or the Super Commandos or anything like that. Like, we're seeing none of the keywords transfer over to them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
very fair. I think the other exciting thing is, I mean, we're looking at an Obi-Wan secondary and a Vader primary as well.
Yes.
So we're going to be getting 2 more interesting, hopefully, characters to pull from. And I think as the game ramps up, we're going to see a lot more interesting selections here.
But I can honestly say I really enjoyed how this game looked visually and how it felt going back and forth. The random struggles, maybe didn't go my way on this, but it was definitely very much a fight back and forth.
We need another mission pack so we can actually start building strike teams around a mission pack.
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing right there.
Yep.
This mission pack is just a little swingy when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to when we start seeing some more of those. But like just as the game grows and we get more variety, that's what I want.
I agree.
Well, anyway, I think we've shared our thoughts on the game. Get involved in the conversation below. You know the drill. If we screwed up on anything, sound off. And of course, if you want to support the channel, hit up patreon.com. It is $1 a month, $12 a year, and you help basically bring these battle reports to your screens whenever they can. And of course, keep letting us know if you want to see more Shatterpoint. Because we're kind of at a point right now where it's like, all right, do we continue or do we just kind of really double down and keep focusing on MCP? So we're going to see what happens there. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.